Our first speaker tonight is running for U.S. Senate. It's Sarah Steelman. Sarah, would you like to come up?
Yeah.
There. All right.
Well, it's good to, can you guys hear me? Yeah, well, it's good to be. Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. That's better. It's good to be back here. I was here last year, and I've seen a lot of friends again. And I want to tell everybody hi. And I am Sarah Steelman, and I'm running for United States Senate against Claire McCaskill. And I want to ask you all a couple questions tonight. First one is this. How many of you all today are better off than your parents or grandparents? Raise your hand if you are. Sure, okay, there's a few. How many of you think that your kids and your grandkids are going to be better off than you are today? See, hardly anybody raises their hand anymore, and all over Missouri this is the way it is. And think about that. Think about that. We are worried about the fact that we're not going to have the same America for our kids and our grandkids that we had when we were growing up. And I want to change that. And that's why I'm running for the United States Senate, because we have to get this country headed in a different direction before it's too late. And you know, when you think about what's changed over the years, we know that it's not the American people. The American people, you all still have that can-do spirit that made us that shining city upon the hill that Ronald Reagan talked about. It's government that's changed. It's government that stifles our ingenuity, it taxes our wealth, it overregulates our economy, it restricts our rights, and frankly, it's more concerned about fat content in our food than whether we're going to have enough oil to run our cars and our factories. And now you look at gas prices, and they're at $4 a gallon almost. I will change that. I will fight as hard as I can and put your interest first above that of party or politics or re-election or anything else. Thank you very much. I sure appreciate your vote.
I'll tell you what, I am Southern Baptist, and the food here is almost as good as any Southern Baptist committee meeting I've ever been to, so it's good. There must be some other Southern Baptists in here tonight. Anyway, I am not a politician, and I never saw myself in politics. In fact, my first political memory, I think I was about 12 or 13, my dad sat me down. He said, "Son, I've got to admit something to you. Your mother and I voted for Jimmy Carter." I said, "Dad, I don't know if I can forgive you." He said, "Well, it's been 30 years, and I feel like God's finally forgiven me." So, anyway, I do represent Congressman Todd Akin, and he's running for the United States Senate. For those of you who don't know too much about his background, Todd Akin's been a strong independent voice representing Missouri's 2nd District in the U.S. House of Representatives, sometimes even voting in opposition to his own party when it strayed from his conservative principles. He was a former officer in the United States Army Combat Engineers. He's been a strong voice on national security issues. He currently serves as chairman of the Armed Services Subcommittee on Sea Power and Projection Forces that oversees the Navy and the Marine Corps. He's been an equally strong voice on economic security matters. He serves on the Budget Committee, where he's fought to rein in the government spending and debt, despite pressure from the White House and those in his own party who can't keep their hands off the government credit card. He voted against TARP, the Wall Street bailout. He voted against the notorious stimulus plan. He voted against raising the federal government's debt ceiling. He voted against the Super Committee. Instead, he co-sponsored legislation to audit the Federal Reserve. He co-sponsored a balanced budget amendment, and he was also an advocate for the recent cut, cap, and balance legislation that would have actually started reducing government spending. He was also one of the first congressmen to oppose President Obama's socialized medicine bill, and he sponsored H.R. 2, the repeal for Obamacare in the U.S. House of Representatives, and actually got it past the House, and then Claire McCaskill let it die in the Senate.
Thank you very much. Wayne has told me I have less than 3 minutes, so we have about 25 speakers, so I won't take long. I want to ask for your support in the 1st District Commissioner. That's everything except Liberty and Elk Township. That's the easier way to say it. So if you're in that area, one of these days I'm going to be knocking on your door. I need your support. If you've got a place I can put a sign, let me know. I'll do that. A little background, 28 years in the manufacturing world, from North Carolina to California, Mobile, Alabama to Sikeston, Missouri. During that time, held many different management positions. The last 14 years, I've been involved in farming and then doing tax and auditing work during tax season. That was a goal I set when I was 16, and it took me 34 years to accomplish it, but I did. So, appreciate you being here tonight. I want your support. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. I'd be more than happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I want to give a special thanks to my family and my pastor that are here tonight to support me. I want to thank all of you for coming out. It's great to see your smiling faces again. I want to thank the cooks for a delicious meal, and Mr. Ryan Humphrey over here for some good music, listening music. Well, 4 years ago, I stood before you and I said I am a wannabe. I wanted to be Stoddard County Commissioner for the 2nd District. That's the Southern District. It's Liberty and Elk Township. And with the help and the support of you, the voters, and the favor of my Lord, I was a winner. And but you know, 4 years have really flown by, and so I'm a wannabe again. I will be running again in this year, 2012, and I truly can say to you that I love my job, and I'm proud to be able to serve the people of Stoddard County. I want to be a voice for you once again. We do live in a blessed county, and after attending the Commissioners Conference in Jeff City the first part of February, I realized more and more that we are blessed. For one thing, we all work together up there, and I feel this is something the county can be proud of. Now, that's not to say that we always agree on everything, because we don't, but we do agree to disagree and then move on. But I think that would be something that you all could be proud to say of your county. I'm proud to be a conservative Republican. I'm not a Republican, and I'm not ashamed to say I cling to my Bible and my guns. I feel the November election, I feel that this November election will be the most important election of our lifetime, and I urge you all to please go and vote. Again, I thank you for your past support, and I ask you once again for your support this coming year. May God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless this great United States of America. Thank you.
It was an honor for me to be elected as your Republican Stoddard County Clerk last November. I started the job January 1st of 2011. And I think it's probably been 50 or 60 or more years since you had a Republican county clerk. So thank you very much for your support in that regard. The county clerk does mainly two things, and I'll just take a few minutes to give you some numbers. We take care of the financial aspect of the county. We do the budget, we do the payroll, we pay all the salaries for the employees, we pay all the bills that come into the county, and all these have to be approved by the county commission. And for the past year, I have worked very closely with Jarrell, and I'd say she's an excellent commissioner, and we certainly want her to be our commissioner for the next 4 years. So we want to get that done. The county has a $7.5 million budget. We have no deficit spending at the county level. We're not going to do that if at all possible. Don't believe that. The primary source of the funds for the county is a 1% sales tax. And with that sales tax, we collect about $2.6 million. And that is used for the purpose of the county. The taxes that you pay, that money is just a pass-through. It goes to the schools, to the townships, or whatever. Now, the second major function of the county clerk is the elections. And this year we have 4 elections this year. We had the February 7th presidential preference, had a low turnout. We had about a 4.22% turnout. But we're looking forward to more voter participation as the elections continue. The April election is April the 3rd. That's for the school boards, for the city offices, and for various tax proposals. August 7th is the primary election. Filing for that will be Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. Now, I know the legislators can tell us more about that, but we're planning in our office to start filing Tuesday at 8 o'clock unless we hear something differently Monday. And then, of course, November 6th is the big election. That's the presidential election.
Well, I'm not on the ballot this year, but I do believe that this is the most important election that we've had in generations. I say that because if the liberal policies that have been enacted in the last 3 years are not reversed, my son and my daughter will grow up in an America that looks extremely different than the land of unlimited opportunity that you and I were raised in. The fact remains that I stand up here before you today as a member of the first generation since the Great Depression that will not do economically as well as our parents. And it's a sad statement to where we are as a country. But why is that? I believe that there are a number of reasons that we face this future. We have empty buildings that used to be factories that are now in Mexico and China. We have the collapse of true free market capitalism where hedge fund managers and banks are bailed out by mortgaging our children's future to save the friends of the Washington power brokers for their bad business practices that crippled our economy. I'm not on the ballot, but you'll be seeing me a lot this cycle because I plan on working for candidates that I believe will fight for our local interests. And because I believe this is one of the most important elections in our history. I hope that we all will be seeing a great deal of one another because all of us are working in this election to elect statesmen that will steer our great ship away from the stormy rocks of liberalism and back to the greatness that we once enjoyed. Thank you all.
And as usual, it's great to be here in Stoddard County. You always do a first-class job on Lincoln Days. You know, has anyone heard anything about maps? That seems to be the talk of things that are going around in a lot of instances. It just so happens today I was at a men's conference, and the text that the pastor used, where would you guess it was from? Judges. So how do those two things correlate? But as we think about Lincoln Day itself, it's not about the speakers that before you. It's about you, the people. I think this gentleman right here behind me represented that. He wasn't a picture that was going to be presented in Esquire. He was a man for the people, of the people. He had a lot of setbacks in his life. He gave out, but he never gave up. And I think that's what we are. Let me encourage you this year to become engaged, to know the issues, to update yourself, to stay current, to become engaged. We have a responsibility. What we have before us, what are we going to leave to the oncoming generations? Is it going to be more? Is it going to be less? That's our responsibility. That's not someone else's. Don't pass it off. It belongs to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bob Thrower, and I'm running for the Missouri House. Quick background on me, I was raised in Dexter. And I went to college, had no idea what I wanted to do while I was in college, so I became an Army officer. 20 years later, I retired, had a fun career, a good career. Came back to Dexter, ran a small business for a little while, about 2-3 years. Then I went back to work for the federal government as a civilian. And it was a good job, great security. I quit last week so I could run for this position. When I first considered running for office, I browsed the House and the Senate websites, and then I read the opening remarks that was given by Senator Mayer. There's a couple things I want to talk about. First is education. Education in Missouri right now is teetering between success and failure. We're doing all right down here. But in the northwest part of the state, Kansas City School District, they've lost their accreditation. On top of that, they were just named the worst high school graduation rate in the country. Wow. It's unbelievable. You know, the folks of that area, they've got to be proud knowing they live in an area where the culture, the environment, the values have eroded to a point where educating their children no longer matters. We've got to fix it. And like any problem, don't think it's not going to impact us down here, because it will. The knee-jerk reaction will be to throw more money in a broken program. We need to fix the program. That's the only way to get out of it. The next thing I want to talk about is Missouri's economy. Missouri still thrives on the back of small businesses. They do. They always have. And we often take for granted that business owners will be willing to accept the risk and come up with the capital that they need to expand. We need to do more to support them, but apparently it's not the case. Today, a lot of those on the left are wanting these businessmen and women to feel guilty for being successful. And I don't want them to feel guilty. I want them to feel welcome here in Missouri. We can do better, and we're going to. We need to give incentives to business owners and help them grow. And I'm telling you now, I will support legislation that promotes the growth of small business. And on top of that, I support right-to-work legislation. In closing, if there's anything you want to know about me, just come up and ask me and I'll tell you, or you can ask one of my friends and they're going to tell you. I am a fiscal conservative. I believe anyone that can work should work. I believe handouts are bad unless they go to those who truly are in need, and less government's better. And they're also going to tell you that I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and I support right to life legislation. So I'm asking you now for your support and your vote, and thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. What a great meal that was. I tell you, I've been doing this a lot lately, and I'm not used to the political realm, but I will tell you I have gained a lot of weight. So I didn't look like this just a few months ago. Some of you guys said, I thought we got rid of that guy. Well, I'm back. And I'll just apologize right up front for it, but here I am. So I've been in the 25th, went to the 33rd, had a modified 33rd, and come back to 25th. So here I am, and I just want to tell you really quick, I only have 5 minutes. I would like to talk about 2 hours, but I'm just going to cut it kind of short because about everything that's been said up here I agree with 100%. So I'll just let you say that right, let you understand that right now. But a little bit about myself. I've been in business, be 41 years, June the 9th. And if you guys are all end up my age, I'm 59. So I went in business at a gas station over in Poplar Bluff and fixed flats, washed people's cars, tuned them up, did all the things you did back at a gas station. And some of you guys my age, you remember gasoline at that time was about $19.90 probably. And anyways, there's been a lot of stuff happened since then, but I'm really enjoying the campaign trail. But there is, I'll tell you folks, we're in a great big mess. Some of the things I want to talk about really quick is you may think I'm running for federal office or something, but I will tell you it affects us really bad here in our state also. But some of the things that bothers me is all the wasteful spending, corrupt spending. I tell you folks, we're taking in plenty of money. It's just we got a spending problem. And just like private sector jobs, which I've always been in, I am a job creator. I'm still in business. But we have decreased our private sector jobs since 2008, almost 7%. That's 8.7 million people losing their job. Another thing I want to talk about really quick, food stamps. In 2008, $35 billion worth of food stamps in this country. 2 years later, we're over $65 billion. I don't know what it is in 11. have an idea yet. But overreaching the federal government, we've already talked about that a little bit. I'm really worried about that. I don't like the mandates you send down to us. They tell the state of Missouri, if you don't do this, you don't do that, we're going to take your highway funding, we're going to do something. They're always threatening us. I think it's time to turn it around and let's start letting them know who they are actually working for. I tell you,
back when I started my campaign for governor and I was getting ready at the end of 2010, we were down for Christmas because my wife Bev is from Sykeston. We came over and met with Wayne Jean, and he extended to me my first speaking invitation once I decided to run for governor, and that was at your Lincoln Day last year. And so I'm happy to be back. We've been in Stoddard County a lot. Over the course of my life, I have been a pastor, a lawyer, and now I'm going into politics. My mom thinks I'm moving steadily down the ladder of life. My friends, if we want to restore freedom, we have to have a plan to do it. Do you have any doubt that the left has a clear plan? They've been executing it down to the letter the last 3 years. But often we as conservatives win elections, and then we feel like all we get to do is move into the house the liberals built and dust. It's time to change some things. What you'll find in my literature and in my website, BillRandles.com, is a concrete set of proposals to take our conservative values and make them a lasting reality in government. If you don't change the machinery of government, it'll keep growing and keep growing. If you don't have a plan to put the beast back in its cage, he'll keep feeding on you.
My name is Dave Spence. I'm a 7th generation Missourian. And I'm a living, breathing example of the American dream. I bought a business when I was 26, when nobody said I could. Didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. And this is on the heels of losing our family business, which was an injection molding company. We had a plant in Jackson, Missouri, just up the road. I lived 8 months there, so I got to know southeast Missouri, Joanne, that's your area, and really got a feeling for what it's like down this part of the state. We're a very, very diverse state. And with the school of hard knocks of going through our family business, going out of business, my dad losing his house on the courthouse steps to a personal guarantee. That's what happens when you take chances and build a business and things go wrong, unfortunately. So I got turned down by 12 banks trying to buy a plastic manufacturing company. 13th one finally said yes. If I listened to everybody that said you can't do this or you shouldn't do this, I wouldn't have done it, but I did. And we took it from 15 employees and $350,000 in annual sales to 800 employees and $200 million in sales over the last 26 years, close to 27. So what I always joke, it took me 26 years to become an overnight sensation. And you all know what it's like. It's hard work, it's sacrifice, it's for the people who own their own businesses, it's passing up paychecks to make sure that other people did. I'd say enough is enough, because I would challenge in 25 years, we're no better than we were 25 years ago. We are losing ground to our neighboring states. On this side of the state, the rallying call is, hey, we're better than Illinois. And it's just not good enough. We can get Missouri proud again. We need to have a landing strip and open the avenues for when jobs could come back from China or from overseas because of inflation over there. We have to have the ability to say, we're open for business. And we do not have that now. We are not competitive with most of our neighboring states. As an owner of a business with 800 employees, I know what it takes. I've been in the driver's seat. I've got the school of hard knocks. And if you really think about it, being governor is like being CEO of the state. Let's think about it.
He said, the issue in this campaign is whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a tiny intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives better than we can plan them ourselves. Now, the speaker who spoke those bracing words was derided then and later as a washed-up B-movie actor. His name was Ronald Reagan. It was 2 years before he would win the governorship of our largest state by 1 million votes, sweeping out an incumbent, and go on to govern successfully for 2 terms. It would be 3 presidential campaigns, 2 unsuccessful, before he would make it to the White House in the magnificent victory of 1980 that presaged all the wins of the 1980s and really it gives us our inspiration today. And why are those words worth quoting tonight, 47, almost a half years later? Because they distill the issues that are before us tonight, as they did in 1964. Mr. Reagan was a prophet. He was prescient. Has it ever been more abundantly clear that a tiny intellectual elite in a far distant capital is certain that they can plan our lives better than we can plan them for ourselves?
As I stand around just trying to, like yourself, stay awake a little bit, I don't know where you all go to church, but your pastor or priest or minister must love you. You can sit through 2 hours of sermon, so I know you're just practicing up here for tomorrow, I'm sure. But anyway, it is amazing the willpower here, but I think that's because we're in tough times here. You know, I want to share, and I know in the booklet here you got some great quotes by Ronald Reagan here, but I have a couple to share with you, and a couple of them there are in your book here. But I really love this here, being a business person, small business guy. The 9 most, this is Ronald Reagan's words, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. You know, is that so true? Oh my word. Well, we all have stories about that. The other thing Ronald Reagan was really good at doing is that he would take, complicated things that economists and government agents would be talking about and try to make it real simple. And so I want to adapt it a little bit here when he's talking about the economy and what's the definition of a recession and depression and recovery. And, some of you might have known this, but Reagan said a recession is when your neighbor loses his job. But a depression is when you lose your job, and a recovery is when Claire McCaskill loses her job. We're going to do the very best we can to have her lose her job. We're talking to some folks about getting her back to Missouri. They said, oh, no, maybe she could work for Metro Rail or something up there in D.C. She doesn't even need to come home. Just get out of the Senate. I want to know one other thing here. I'm a former Marine. Are there any Marines here tonight? You can raise your hand. Do we have any Marines? Oh my gosh, am I going to have to take care of the whole place tonight? Are there some Army guys here? Okay, Army guys, I wish you had this opportunity, but this is a Ronald Reagan quote, because you guys could have been Marines. Some people wonder, this is Ronald Reagan, I'm quoting, this is not my words, so don't beat me up, guys. Some people wonder all their lives if they made a difference. The Marines don't have that problem. All right, guys. Hey, and most importantly, Ronald Reagan said, freedom prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law under God is acknowledged. And aren't we under attack for this right now, my friends? I'm running for the U.S. Senate to reclaim the American dream for our children and grandchildren. I have 6 beautiful grandchildren. And I was thinking, I grew up in the Eisenhower administration, and they're growing up in the Obama administration. What hope do they have when we don't get some things done? And I'm running for the U.S. Senate for a new independence, a vision of America to lead again. Number 1, we need a new financial independence, balanced budget, fair, flatter taxes. We need to be number 1 in energy independence, oil, natural gas, shale, safe nuclear, alternative fuels. We know what the cost of energy is doing. We know what the EPA is doing. We know what's going to affect your farms, all your businesses. Everything is energy dependent. We're sitting on the most incredible natural resources in the world here, probably the biggest natural gas resources in the world. Senator Blunt was commenting about that the other day. And we have to be number 1 in energy independence. And finally, we need to be number 1 in business independence, in agriculture, manufacturing, eliminate the death taxes. We need tort reform, regulatory relief. And we've always heard tonight already about Obamacare, repealing that. I have another term for Obamacare, it's called Obamacare. Now we need to repeal Obamacare, both the legislation and both those 2 people whose names are attached to that bill. For folks, in summary, freedom is stuck in reverse. We know that. Out of control spending, devastating debt, crushing red tape regulations. Too many career politicians have simply failed us at protecting their jobs, their pensions, and their privileges instead of defending the jobs of the citizens that they were called to elect and take care of and serve. We need to bring service back up in our offices again. And finally, Missouri needs a new kind of senator, a citizen senator, a proven leader, a captain of the Marines in an industry with the courage to take.
We got any conservatives in here tonight? We got any social conservatives in here tonight? Yeah? Any fiscal conservatives in here tonight? Any Christian conservatives in here tonight? I am all of them. I'm one of those hardcore conservatives that believes in all of that stuff. I'm tired of being tired. I live over a couple of hours west of here, over in Texas County. And every time I talk about Texas County over here, they say, "Oh, you got all the big deer over there in Texas County, don't you?" You ever heard that about Texas County? We like to hunt our big deer over there. We definitely do enjoy hunting our deer and turkey over there. But I'm a Second Amendment guy. I'm pro-life and I'm pro-gun. And like I tell them, I said, I'll give them my guns after I give them my ammo, and they can pry the guns out of my hand when they're hot and smoking. That's how I feel about the Second Amendment. Anybody here with me on that? I think there's a lot of it. That's why I'm running for Congress, because I'm so frustrated, you know, with the regulations and the restrictions and the burden on people that are out there trying to work. I want to fight that. I want to go to Washington, D.C. and fight the regulations and the out-of-control spending and the things that they're doing. And I mean it. I'm not a politician. I'm really not. I'm just somebody that believes in hard work, speaking their mind, praying hard, and working hard, and trying to make a difference. The way I've fought my battles all my life is try to work with the people in charge as much as I can. But when they refuse to work with me, I go to the people with the facts and the truth and expose them as hard as I can, and I don't care which side of the aisle they're on. Because I believe in principle, and I believe in my freedom, and I believe in my Constitution, and I believe in this country. And we have problems on both sides of the aisle. And I think it's time to make some changes. If we want to change Washington, we have to change the people in Washington. I am tired of the EPA and the regulators regulating us to death and having our people in Washington, D.C. raise the debt limit and approve the spending bill, and then come back here and talk about how we're being regulated to death, and they give them all the money. I don't want to do that. If you want somebody to fight that, vote for me. If you want more of the same, keep voting the same way.
I do want to take this time, this is not going to be a usual speech, put together some words that's very dear to me. This will probably be, as you know, my last Lincoln Day as your state rep. Hopefully it'll be your next Lincoln Day, I'll be your senator, but that's to be determined. First of all, Rob, can you help me out here? Did we have a 4.0 earthquake last week?
In East Prairie?
3.9. Well, you know, there's more damage than we thought. It redistricted, moved Butler County back into Southern County. And left my farm over there and a lot of ducks over in Replublican County and left them there, and the river run backwards and Scott County out and moved Mississippi in, caused all kinds of trouble.
Heard part of it went to Arkansas.
Part of it did, I was down there.
He used to walk part of it to go to Arkansas.
I won't repeat several things been said here. They were very good. I would like to all the candidates, and I want to thank Rob Thrower. Thanks for stepping up to the plate, my friend. We're looking forward to working with you. I think you're going to have a great experience that you will never forget. I take a little offense to that one statement about the doing away with the careers of young people, because without my career as a cotton chopper, I don't know where I'd be. As a young child, I guess I'd be on the street somewhere. But anyway, I'd like to go back to 2004 briefly, when I was first ran for election. Many of you in here helped me win the election. And first of all, this is an opportunity that I want to have to thank. First of all, I want to thank Joanne Emerson She helped me a lot, her and her staff, Lloyd's here, I think, or was here, Josh, many of your staff. You helped me in all ways. You can't always get involved in the primary, I understand that, but you can still be friendly, right, Joe? And I know that was good, and I appreciate that. And Peter Kinder, I think Peter Lee? Okay, well, Peter Kinder was very kind to come to the special efforts and events that I had and help me, and I won't forget that, and he always spoke well of me. I supported our Lieutenant Governor, and because of the hard work he fought for the party, we go back over 20 years, Pete and I did, working on Bell telephones, bills, protecting communication, and independence as well. He was the first Republican I ever invited to a meeting for CWA, and they were shocked. But Peter came because there was a need there to break the ice. He's there to represent us, and he wanted to be there to represent the workers of America and clarify the issues. And I thank you for that, Peter, even though you're not here, maybe we'll get back to you. And I'd also like to thank Senator Rob Mayer. He paved the way for me. Rob, thank you. He always encouraged and gave me good advice. And Sarah Steelman's not here, but Sarah and I were on the campaign trail a couple times, and she spoke very well, and I thank her for that. And there's so many friends here tonight, I don't know how to thank. There's too many. If I call names, you'd be here for another hour. Because you've all stood with me, you've been loyal and true. And I would expect and hope that we can move forward from here. Looking forward to the election. In closing, I've always fought for what I thought was best for our district. It was not always popular. Many times you'd have those come cranking on you, wanting you to pass this bill because it's good for the state. And I've had around the two of them. I said, but it's not good for my district. And I'm not voting for it. And I said, there's no need to come back and ask me again because I'm not changing my mind. If it's good for my district, I'll vote for it.
Work in the trenches because it wasn't easy in the beginning, was it, y'all? I mean, to tell you, there wasn't a Republican anywhere. And Stoddard County was what we called a swing county back in 1980, which meant it'd swing either Republican or Democratic depending on who was running. And my gosh, how it has changed over the years, how the entire 8th Congressional District has changed. And really, you guys kind of got it started because with Stoddard County being the only swing county back in those days, it seriously started the ball rolling. And we have been so very, very blessed to have wonderful state representatives during the time that I've been in the Congress. Billy Pat, thank you so much for all of the work that you've done these last 8 years. And before that, Rob Mayer. And I will say that when we went looking for a candidate to run for the state rep seat, 12 years ago now, Rob Mayer really stood out because he really was a symbol of really of the American dream. Grown up on a farm, working in a factory, at a blue-collar job, then working up into a management position, putting himself, working his way through law school. And he understood what each and every one of you all was thinking in this room, because he'd been there. And he has done so much for our party throughout the state of Missouri. You know, it's not easy being the president pro tem, and as someone earlier said, you know, you kind of got to put on the armor because people are shooting arrows at you every single day. But this guy has been on the road constantly for the last 12 years. First going back and forth, but then in his role as president pro tem of the Senate, it's been his responsibility to make sure that we can maintain our majority in the Missouri State Senate. And I'll tell you, out of the 34 senators, there are only 8 Democrats, and they kind of meet in the little phone booth up there in Jefferson City and wonder why they're even there, because they can't get a darn thing done because of the work that Rob Mayer has done.
Wayne says he's not going to hug me, and I will not hug him. I won't mind that one bit. You know, Joanne, sometimes
You know, Nancy had it tough when I was gone to Jeff City, but she says sometimes it's tough when I'm home. It's better when I'm in Jeff City. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's really great to see such a crowd and our candidates and the cause that unites us. You know, Wayne, in the past, it wasn't that easy to get this many people together that claimed to be Republicans. You know, I remember it wasn't that long ago that you claimed that, you and Mike Keithley and Charlie Cruz used to meet in the phone booth, and they used to say, hey, Wayne, don't eat any Mexican food before you come.
Very good.
But it is good to have you here, every one of you. You know, before I get started, there's a lot of emotions that go through my mind as I make my last speech at the last Lincoln Days for Stoddard County. But I would be amiss if I didn't recognize my family. Certainly Nancy has been committed and dedicated, and like many of you, she's gone to parades everywhere from Piedmont to Caruthersville to Kennett to Advance to Bloomfield to Bell City to Puxico to Poplar Bluff to Greenville to Doniphan, and I know I'm leaving someplace out, but Nancy has helped make certain that we had plenty of candy. You know, Billy Pat and Doug, one of the worst things that you can do is to get to Piedmont and get about 2/3 down the parade route and run out of candy. It's not good. And so Nancy always made sure that we had candy for the entire route. So I love her, and wouldn't be where I am here tonight if it wasn't for her. Another lady, my mom here, Margene Mayer, has stuffed a lot of envelopes and helped at a lot of golf tournaments and done numerous things with the ladies that she's seated with there at the table with all of them. They have been wonderful, and so I want to thank her and her friends for all the great work that they've done for me over the years. Also, I've got a lot of other family here. I've got my mother-in-law here, Marilyn Tooley is here, and I remember when I first ran for state rep back in 2000, I remember my late father-in-law ever going to the polls, and he had a reputation of being a pretty staunch Democrat, Joanne. And I remember he went to the poll, and one of the ladies that was a Democrat was going to give him the Democrat ballot. And he said, no, give me a Republican ballot. And they just kind of looked at him and said, just give it to me. That son-in-law of mine's running. So he took it, and I knew he voted for me. So that was quite a task for him. Also, I have my brother and sister-in-law, C.E. and Mickey, with me, Tooley. Thank you for being here. I've got also my brother and sister-in-law, Tony and Karen Stevens. Also got my Uncle Bob here with his new wife. And so we thank Uncle Bob and Betty for being here tonight. I want to make sure that I don't forget Daniel. Daniel's here, Daniel Mayer, and his friend Morgan, his girlfriend. And also I've got my nephew. Corey's here, Corey Stevens, Jamie, and Jade Cannon. So thank you all for being here. I hope I've got all my family. So you can see how I won a lot of elections. I got a big family. But you know, it has been a pleasure to be here, and I don't know how many of you have actually been in parades or been at events that you helped me out in. I imagine all of you could stand up. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, so you can see why I was successful. I had a lot of good people helping me out. But you know, I recall when I decided to run for state representative, I made that decision back in 1999. And I remember that we went across the then Billy Pat 159th, which consisted of Stoddard and then a portion of Scott County, and Chaffee, Morley, and Oran, and we worked very hard getting started in the fall of 1999 for that November 2000 election. You know what I remember, Wayne? I remember there was not one Republican that held office in Stoddard County. There was not one Republican office holder. Our state representative, our state senator, neither of them were Republicans, and I wish I'd had $1 for everybody that came up to me and said, Rob, you're a good guy, but you're never going to win because you're running on the Republican ticket. against an incumbent. And I remember one lady coming into my office, it was a Democratic operative, Joanne, and she said, "Rob, I hear you're going to run for state rep, but you're going to run as a Republican." I said, "Yeah, that's correct." And she said, "Well, you know, if you just wait 2 years, we'd let you run as a Democrat." And I said, "Yeah, but I got to sleep at night. I got a conscience. I got to be able to sleep at night, and so I can't do that." She said, "Well, your political career will be over before it ever gets started." That's how the Democrats used to operate back in those days. But you know, because of people like you who believed in me and believed in the cause, we were able to get elected at a time when there was not any Republicans in the county offices. Now I'm proud to say we've got good people such as Billy Pat Wright, who is our state representative. We've got good people like Joe Watson and Carol Jarrell and Prosecutor Russ. You know, let me end by saying this. You know, I'm looking forward to coming home to Stoddard County in just a few short months. You know, I've enjoyed my time in Jefferson City, but as we all know, there's no place like home. Southeast Missouri is my home. I look forward to the next chapter of my life right here with you, with my wife, my family, and all my friends. Tonight, I'd like to tell you what I'm going to do in the future. I officially announce to you my candidacy for the 35th Judicial Circuit Judge serving Stoddard and Duplin counties. And if I'm elected, I promise to provide fair and impartial justice to all the citizens I serve. You know, as I told you when I went to Jefferson City, there were some principles that I wanted to live by, that I wanted to work by. Ronald Reagan, back years ago, said this. He said, "Let us be sure that those who come after will say of us in our time, that in our time we did everything that could be done. We finished the race, we kept them free, we kept the faith." That's what I've done in the last 12 years. Look forward to serving you again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your support throughout the years. All the things that I've been able to do never could have been done without your support, and I thank you for that. And you have a very good evening, and may God continue to bless you.
When Joanne was here, Joanne, you said a lot of nice things about my wife Pam and I, but we could not have done any of this without the help of the Central Committee. Can I get the folks that are the members of the Central Committee to please stand up? These are the people that worked hard putting this on tonight. The other organization that works hard with all of these candidates and representing you is the Republican Party here in Stoddard County. Could I get them to stand up? People from the Republican Party. The Republican Club.